Whoop! Session 3. What's up? Whew, man, just got done with the elliptical. I'm doing a little bit of lifting weights, and man, I tell you what, I feel amazing. I'm sweating like an animal right now, but my endorphins are rolling. I have this clarity and this like flow state thing going on where I feel like amazing. So, sidebar, if you haven't been doing any exercise, highly recommend that you get up and you get some sweat going. Seriously, it releases a lot of that pent-up energy that you're just like fighting to manage and fighting to deal with. Anyway, so before we get into today's video, I have a couple of things I want to say. First of all, I want to really thank the TCE community. I really want to thank every single person who's written a comment, who's DM'd, who's done any of those things, because like the first video has gotten more views than any other thing we've ever done so far, which is amazing. So I mean, keep liking, keep sharing, keep talking about it, keep engaging. It's fuel for the fire, for real. Like it's really helping me out personally. So from a selfish perspective, please do it and like bring more people in the fold. We can do this. This can be a community that we build together. I want to especially thank Selena. TCE, man, you're awesome. I want to direct everyone to a blog that she wrote on LinkedIn that reviews podcasts. I think it was a great idea, and I think it's super cool that she took the time to do that for everybody. So find Selena on there. She's in the TCE Exchange group and stuff, and she's also on the Daily BA group. But anyway, so let's get rolling into it. Let's just get down to business. I've been playing with this. There's been a lot of requests for different topics for me to cover different things, from self-management to time management to, parenting, honestly, which is, I mean, because they heard my baby screaming in the background in that first video. It's been pretty cool. And I'll tackle each one of those topics individually, actually, because I think each one of them is going to be a cool challenge to kind of like put a twist on and give some actionable things to do with. But what I've found so far is there's a common thread and theme moving across all the things that people are looking for. And for me, and the reason I put that malfunction down is it's about function and it's about clarity of purpose. There's a loss of purpose right now. People don't know where they stand. They don't know who they are. They don't know where they are. And I told you in the first video to find yourself, but I didn't give you very much actionable advice on how to go about doing that. It's funny because Nietzsche, of all people, dark, dreary philosophy, but he has this amazing quote that a person who has a why can survive anyhow. And that is the great advice that I'm going to give you, is to find your why, because then hows become irrelevant. And the real question is, how do we actionably determine our why? Because whether or not we want to believe it or not, our behavior is determined. That means that our why is there. It's established. It's not a thing for us to discover. It's a thing for us to identify as acting on us and to accept and do something with. So I keep playing with this. How do I identify my why? How do I go about finding it? What is it to find a why? And I'm thinking, okay, well, the first step I took was, let's go back to my original training, right? I have a degree in philosophy in my undergrad, and I was like, well, I mean, philosophy is a deductive practice. It's a thinking exercise. It's introspective. It's reflective. It's looking inward to find answers. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, number one, the behavior analyst in me knows that that's garbage in terms of substance. But the pragmatist in me knows that, like, that's just a way to go down a deep, dark path, a deep, dark hole, a way to just like find yourself in this cyclical horror show of your own internal mind prison. And that's not the outcome that I'm looking for in this exercise. I'm looking for like actionable change. I'm looking for ways that I can control and project my future. I'm looking for solutions. I'm looking for answers. I'm not looking to beat myself up anymore. So then I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to work. And even if it did work, like, how would I even go about doing that? Like, how does one identify their own why, their own function? How does one substantively self-report those things in a way where they cannot lie to themselves? And then I kept thinking, okay, well, even if I could do that and I just sat back and thought, my thoughts I'd sit there and I think, and as thoughts would come, there'd be a visceral emotional experience that I would have, but they're just fleeting, they're gone. So then how do I latch onto them? How do I bring them back so I can look at them again and I can really evaluate them in a substantive manner? So then I'm like, okay, well then I have to somehow do that exercise, but create a permanent product. And that means a tangible thing, a thing that's left behind. Well, what do you do to do that? And then it hit me. I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing it for 10, 15 years now, actually. Not 15, probably since I graduated from college. So about almost 13 years I've been doing that, which is actually, and just to show proof, all these filled out journals that I have that I've been taking notes on for years and using as a way to just do some like flow state stuff. And by flow state, I mean like not thinking about it, not trying to tailor it, not trying to like narrate, just writing the words that flood and gush out at you. I'm like, okay, well, I can do that, but like, what is that? How do I make that an exercise that is consistent, that is empirical, that will produce, again, not just verbal diarrhea, right? Because verbal diarrhea is also pointless and useless, because then you just have a gobbledygook mess of words that mean nothing and do nothing for you. And I'm like, okay, well, two things. Well, actually, really one. Rate of response. You know, Skinner, Carl Binder says that, you know, a lot of people credit Skinner, or if they would ask Skinner what his greatest thing, most people think it would be the operant, the discovery that behavior is selected by consequences. But Carl and I guess Ogden Lindsley believe that he would have said rate of response, that behavior is counted in time. So I'm like, okay, well, if behavior is counted, if counting behavior in time is the most critical feature of me to be able to identify the things that I'm doing, how do I take this exercise that I want to do and I want to put it in terms of time? Easy. I take the ideas from precision teaching and I do something called a free write. A free write would be free as in free operant, as in unconstricted, unbound by a particular sensory modality or like input-output mechanism, and just through writing. And in order for that to be kind of constrained and kind of fit within a particular framework so that I could have a reasonable count, I would need to time it in some capacity. And I'm like, okay, well, what's a good amount of time? Do you write for a minute? Do you write for 5 minutes? I'm like, holy smokes. Like right now I'm actually doing it. I'm doing a free write right now for school. I'm in the middle of my comps exams. And the way those work, at least the Chicago school, is that on a weekly basis, you do a 30-minute exam every week on a particular content area that you've had to study for and read on. So like the idea is that you take a whole week, you do a discussion board, and then you read as much as you possibly can on a topic. And then you get a single question and prompt that you've never seen before, and you have 30 minutes to regurgitate as much as you can in the most cohesive, salient way possible to put together the best response that you can. So I'm like, perfect. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a 30-minute free write where I'm going to put a timer. I'm going to put 30 minutes on my phone, and I'm going to sit down with pen and paper, and I'm just going to write and see what happens. And I did that. And whoa, was it illuminating, man. Whoa, was it illuminating. Whoa, was it awesome. And I found my why was, I'm finding that my why is this actually. I'm finding that my why is to pursue these things that are personally self-enriching and providing me the opportunity and the emotional freedom to do what I want to do. And to live the way I want to live and to engage the world the way I want to engage it. And it's been pretty amazing. So how do you go about doing that? You literally just do what I just said you do. You put the clock on the board. You just sit down, get a pen and paper, get some quiet. Okay, clear your space, clear your mind, and just write. And when the timer goes down, either finish your thought or put the pen down, let it breathe for a minute, get up, go get a glass of water or grab a Diet Coke or a pop or whatever whatever your thing is, cup of coffee, and sit down and then go back and review it real quick. See what it says. See what you said. Because you don't want to sit there and necessarily tailor the information. You want to find your flow state. Flow state is a thing that is kind of out there in like neuroscience-y circles and a lot of high performance circles that people talk about. And it's like finding that visceral, plain, between like consciousness and subconscious, right? Where you're just like, you're acting without thinking. And to me, that's the ultimate behavior. That's the ultimate expression of acting on one's environment, unconstrained by extraneous variables and confounds in the environment. So that's your exercise for today, and that's your goal, that's your mission. Do a free write, 30 minutes. And you know what, if 30 minutes is too much, no problem. You pick your time. There's no rules, man. You pick your time. If you can only do 5 minutes, if you can only do 2 minutes, if you only got 10 minutes in you, doesn't matter. But do this. Behavior occurs in time, so it requires you, and rate of response is critical. So part of this is trying to get down as fast as you can without thinking, so you're not interrupted, you're not tailoring, you're not controlling the message. You need to find what's out there, and you need to produce a permanent product that you can actually go back and evaluate. That's the key piece of this. The key piece of this is not to sit down and try to like write some narrative that you want to see from yourself. It's to find that flow state and to find yourself expressing your most authentic reality, your most authentic narrative out there, so you can really look back on it and say, oh, wow, this is really what's going through my head right now. Hey, man, I'm telling you right now, it might sound a little schizophrenic at first, and that's fine, because you know what? We're all a little crazy. But anyway, that's kind of the message for the day. Like, subscribe. You can find me at Explanatory Fiction on Instagram. Here on the YouTube channel, The Controversial Exchange. You can find us on Instagram, me and Ryan together on Instagram at The Controversial X. You can find him at The Daily BA. We are answering messages constantly. You can find the podcast on Anchor, Controversial Exchange. And that's it. Thank you for today. Catch you next time.